Well, hello again. A little bit of time has passed since the last recording, and the shed has progressed a little bit, although I've reached a couple of sort of frozen points. Some of it in regards to trying to just determine on what sort of doors and windows to put on the place, because without them I don't know where to do some of the woodwork too. So this week I'll be making some orders for some doors and windows. I'm thinking across the whole front here is to use some sort of stacker sliding door system, and to maintain another door here that leads out onto, if you recall, the grass area. And I am considering whether I also put a small sliding door in there, or at least a single glass door, just so that it lets a little bit of light in, as it's basically a shed with very few windows. With a stacker sliding door system here, that would let a lot of light coming in across the front, which will be ideal, and it will also give the opportunity for something large to still come into the shed, because the intention is to remove the small garden shed at some point in time and put a carport there. Let me just show you what we're going to be doing next. We need to be able to make some trusses that go across from one side through across to the other side. From a structural perspective, we need to create some strength, because we're hoping to be able to remove these cross beams here that make up the bottom part of this steel truss, and then convert them to a wooden truss, and then raise that truss upwards. So what you see here is the beginning of one of these said trusses. We've got the beams that come up across the top that are fixed at around about this point here to larger beams that go across from rafter to rafter all the way to the end, sitting on the final two end steel trusses. So at the moment I've just got this one clamped. The intention is to put a couple of bolts through here like this on either side, through both sets of 35mm, and bolt it off on the other side. It's going to be a little bit trickier here. I still believe that there's enough room here, because this piece of steel is staying, but there will be a bolt that goes through these two pieces of wood somewhere around about there, trying to get this part of the ceiling here from floor to ceiling around about the 8-foot mark. So I'm off now to the hardware store again to pick up some bolts, as my 100mm thin screws probably won't cut the mustard. Now this part of the job was the part I wasn't entirely sure of on how to do this. I have two pieces of wood that go up on either side of the top of the A-frame, and although they run up alongside, I wanted to put two ties on either side. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get the bolts through there, but it turns out that within the size of these are 70mm in thickness, and the steel frame of the shed is a little bit less than half that. So that enabled me to just bring it down a little bit more on these ones on either side, so I can peg it up together. The other aspect about tying these two pieces of wood together with the bolt was that I had to offset each just slightly so that they did not bump up against each other. As you can see, they would have a little bit of an overlap, so I just made sure that on one side I was a little bit further along the wood as I put it through. I also cut the profile down here just so that it wouldn't push too hard on the insulation sarking. So as you can see, I've got a fairly flat roof of where the gyprock is going to go on, and eventually get around to cutting this steel tie out to be able to have the gyprock go quite nicely along the top of the roof. Depending on how I feel about it and how many screws I have left over, I'll probably put maybe another screw either on this side over here or on this side over here, and that'll just help keep that from any lateral movement and vertical movement by pinning it again to the one that runs up from the wall. So yeah, home stretch as far as the woodwork is concerned. This week I hope to order some windows and doors. I think there's going to be some interesting challenges there, generally because the height of most of the sliding doors which I intend to buy are just a little bit higher than I would like them to be based upon where my ceiling comes down to. So I'm going to have to work out, probably with the help of my neighbour again, just how to recess the ceiling up a little bit in the areas where the doors will be in operation. But we'll tackle that challenge when we get there. Well, bit of an update. As you can see, I've got most of the woodwork up across the top, creating these, what they call collar ties between pieces of wood up, which will enable us to be able to remove this pole here and keep the spread up there with a little bit more reinforcements around on the side, pinning it in a couple of strategic places. Yeah. Taking a little while to get to this point, we're pretty close then to the stage of inviting the electrician in to do the wiring.